Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today, we will be taking a pre-release look at the latest science champion to come to MCOC, Spider-Punk. We will be breaking down all his abilities and the best ways, I think, to defeat him. So, here we are on the Kabam website, which I'll link down below, with the full abilities breakdown for Spider-Punk. Let's see what he has to offer. Spider-Punk's blah blah blah, he has immunity to concussion debuffs and rupture effects. Concussion debuffs aren't the most common, but we will have to think about this if we want to try and reduce his ability accuracy, though indirect ways of doing it, such as Awakened Archangel and his neurotoxins, will work just fine. Immunity to rupture is very nice, and the three primary counters for this are Scorpion, Lady Deathstrike, and Rintra. I primarily see this as a Rintra counter, as Spider-Punk can already deal ruptures himself, which Scorpion, you'll want to be immune to those, so you'll want to choose one of the other options, and I don't really see Lady Deathstrike as an ideal counter for him, but it means you can if you need to. Spider-Punk hates labels, and for each tag on the opponent, so that is pretty much anything in the tag's description, he gains 10.35 attack rating. This is based on a 6-star rank 5, and it comes out to about 0.25% attack rating per tag. Spider-Punk himself has 8 tags, so assuming that you've got about the same or more on the opponent, you really aren't going to be seeing much more than a 5% attack rating increase from this. Nice to have, I guess, but really not very impactful. Spider-Punk will rupture his opponent's ears off. Personal rupture debuffs deal this much physical damage over some time, max stacks of 8. And as a defender, these scale with base attack only, and this is lovely to see. Shout out to whoever designed this from Kabam for adding this sentence in. What this bit means is the scales with base attack only. That means any nodes that say, the standard plus 50% attack one or the plus 200% attack and health, those sort of nodes, but also nodes like, Rage, that will give him Furies, won't increase this rupture damage. So as a defender, we don't have to worry about that. But as an attacker, we can use the recoil masteries, we can use boosts, we can use nodes like Foresight, and those will increase these. And that is really, really nice to see. Some champions only scale with base attack across the board, like Omega Red and his Awakened ability, but it's really nice to see as a defender they only scale, meaning you can take advantage of it. Really nice to see this. We'll get on to how you trigger ruptures in a bit. When Spider-Punk intercepts his opponent, he inflicts a physical vulnerability for 15 seconds, max stacks of 2. Nice to have. A lot of Spider-Punk's damage comes from his rupture damage, which are physical, meaning we can increase those even further when you intercept. Very nice. When performing a well-timed block against basic attacks, Spider-Punk has a 100% chance to evade inflicting a stun passive for 3 seconds, and this is removed when it's struck twice and has a 16-second cooldown. Let's break this down then. When performing a well-timed block, this is not the same as a parry. Parries trigger on a well-timed block, meaning even as a defender, he can trigger this. If you dash in and he blocks at the right time, this will trigger against basic attacks only. So he has a 100% chance to evade you and inflict you for a stun passive for 3 seconds, which will be removed if struck twice. Why am I not hugely concerned about this? Well, while the cooldown for this is active, when Spider-Punk would be struck by a light or medium whilst dashing forward, essentially if you try and intercept him with a basic attack, he has a 100% chance to evade the hit, inflicting a stun passive for 2 seconds. This is really nice if you're using him on offense, because you can effectively just intercept with very little risk to yourself. And as a defender, this ability is always active, meaning that this doesn't need to trigger for this to happen. This effectively means, without an evade counter, we cannot intercept Spider-Punk at all. There is no cooldown on this as a defender, and you'll be stunned for 2 seconds, and note that this stun isn't removed when struck twice, like this one. So he could go medium, medium, and then start hitting you with another combo, because this one won't be removed. This is his big defensive threat. But luckily we can get around it pretty easily. Any form of True Strike, which he's not immune to, gone. Ability accuracy reduction should work, but we'll need to test that when he actually comes out. So again, someone like Awakened Archangel and his Neuros should work fine. The problem I see with this is if you have like, well, what if Spider-Punk is stun immune? Because you can just stun him and hit him normally. This only works for his intercept, so just dash back, parry, keep going. What if Spider-Punk is unblockable? And, for my mind thinking about Alliance War, on path 5 in section 2, there are 2 nodes, which is you need to intercept him or you only deal 1/4 of your damage. They have a 75% protection. Things to think about. Inflicting a personal vulnerability shortens the active cooldown by 6 seconds. Going back to offense, this is actually really nice. He inflicts a personal physical vulnerability whenever he intercepts the opponent, so essentially, whilst the cooldown is active, continue to intercept to get this back faster. Very, very nice. You'll probably have to intercept twice in 4 seconds, so this roughly lines up to get your max stacks of physical vulnerability. So all the numbers here seem tuned really, really well to make him flow very, very nicely. Spider-Punk comes with charges, crowd members. Spider-Punk gathers a crowd wherever he goes. As a defender, or while fighting in battlegrounds or duels, starts with 150 crowd members. So, as a defender starts half-ramped, that seems fairly standard for a lot of champions now, or whilst fighting in battlegrounds. This makes him roughly on tempo to end the fight in 1 special 2 and then a special 1 follow-up. We'll see how that works when we get there. Is it wholly necessary? It's nice to have, it makes him more usable there, and with his intercept problem, he can be sort of a dual threat depending on the nodes going on. So we'll see how that comes out. Duels is weird. I don't know why that's in there. Certainly nice to have, but duels are hardly where people are focusing on content. But certainly interesting to have. As I said in my Serpent breakdown, it would be really nice to see if instead of Battlegrounds, it was just any timed matchup. So that would include Alliance War and Alliance Quest, for example. He gets that half ramp, just to make things a bit more consistent, I suppose. It would also include incursions. Otherwise, he starts at 0. But we will get past this, because when defeating an opponent, half of Spider-Punk's crowd meter stays with him for the next match. However, if you are defeated, you lose your whole crowd. Meaning, if you can win your first fight with the max cap of 300 crowd members, I believe it's 300, doesn't actually say, but I believe it is, you then come in with 150 crowd members, effectively matching the ramp up elsewhere. When either champion dodges a special attack or punishes the opponent's special attack, he gains 10 crowd members for each bar of power spent on the special, with a cooldown of 0.2 seconds. This just means that you can't trigger it back to back off beam hits. If you think about, say, Dr. Doom Special 1, that's a triple beam dex, so you can trigger it off the first hit and off the beam dex, but only once off the beam dex. That's nice to help keep his crowd low when he's on defense, because knocking him down will also remove 15, and there's no cooldown on that, so if you can chain heavies in the corner, even better. When Spider-Punk evades after performing a well-timed block, he gains 30 crowd members. This is the one that goes on cooldown for 16 seconds. What do the crowds do? They increase the potency of personal ruptures by up to 182%. I'm not sure if there's a significance behind that number, or it's just slightly plucked out of thin air, based on the crowd member count. So when you're up at your maximum crowd, you'll get lots of extra rupture damage. Cool. Above 200 crowd members, when Spider-Punk activates a special attack, he gains an unstoppable passive for 3 seconds, paused until the end of the special attack. So what this actually translates to is he will be unstoppable during his special attack and for 3 seconds afterwards. I'm seeing slow champions being incredibly powerful against Spider-Punk. For example, if we chose She-Hulk or Spider-Gwen, you do 1 parry heavy, now he can't evade, and now he can't go unstoppable. There's not much left to him after that. Heavy attack, and this is just 2 melee hits. He hits you with the guitar, and then sort of pulls it up out the ground. I haven't managed to fix the issues I was having last time about showing the deep dive, though I will leave it down below for you to go and watch yourself. The first hit refreshes all personal physical vulnerability debuffs, so personal means it's just once he's triggered himself, you can't refresh node ones, if there are any nodes that trigger these. And yeah, these are the ones that come from his intercept. The final hit, so the second hit, inflicts a taunt debuff for 2 seconds, meaning they're more likely to throw a special attack, and grants the opponents no power if they are above 1 bar of power. Note that the first hit will still give them power, so that effectively they'll only gain half. The specials. Special number 1. On activation, removes all personal ruptures. We still don't know how to inflict them yet, but we're nearly there on the opponent. For each rupture remove, the hit inflicts instant rupture damage, dealing a burst of some damage, based on the remaining time left on the ruptures relative to the base rupture duration. So, if you inflict your ruptures and then somehow instantly throw the special one, you get much more damage than if they've just got a tiny sliver of time left. Cool, red damage on the special one. And this is just 3 or 4 melee hits, should be a very simple one to outrange, not too much of a threat on defense. The special 2, the final 3 hits are guitar strums that will inflict personal rupture debuffs, and these can be inflicted through blocks that are not well timed. This special attack has a similar sort of cadence to Havoc's special 1, so there's a melee hit, and then sort of 3 waves, though these ones are more spaced out. Havoc's ones are sort of wave, 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 whereas this one is just wave, wave, wave. Again, I'll link the deep dive down below so you can see them in action. As an attacker, 3 chords are generated, and you'll see these in your sort of buffs and debuffs bar at the top, very similar to the Grandmaster and his prompts when he throws a special 1. Swiping up or down while the chords are active amplifies the hits and brings in additional crowd members. If all hits are amplified, he gains an additional rupture. Cool, so this is where he gets his ruptures from. The final 3 hits gain ruptures, and if you're perfect at the minigame, you can gain a 4th rupture. Note that his cap on ruptures is 8, and if unawakened, I'll get onto his awakened ability in a second, 2 special 2s and you'll hit the cap. You can go special 2 into special 1 to remove all of those ruptures and gain extra burst damage on that special. On the special 3, once per fight, personal ruptures have their duration permanently increased by 25%. This is good, your ruptures last longer, deal more damage, and it gives you a greater safety net if you need to throw the special 1 in a very tight matchup. You gain 3 ruptures, very nice, and you can pull in extra crowd members, 150 if you hit green, 125 if you hit orange, or 100 if not. I actually quite like this. There are some champions that gain bonuses, such as Venom the Dark and Hawkeye, if you hit that perfect result. But I like the fact that even if you completely mess it up, you still gain some bonus, and it's just a nice increase to have. Very much a fan of that. The signature ability, and I believe this will be very important on offense. When the opponent finishes a special attack, inflicts an encore passive for the corresponding special. These look exactly the same to Mr. Fantastic's study passives, so once you've thrown 3 of them, you get that sort of red passive with a 1 in, or red passive with a 2. While an encore is active, the opponent is 70% more likely to throw the same special attack. Very, very nice for fight control. Max of 3. Encore passives are removed if the opponent performs a different special attack. I don't know if this 70% matches with this 3, or is increased by that 3, so if you have 3 of them, are they 210% more likely to throw that special? We'll find out when we get there. For each encore passive active, the opponent's attack rating during that special is reduced by 24%. So about 1/4 damage when you have these all stacked up. That is very nice. Why is the signature ability important? Well, inflicting an encore passive whilst an encore is already on the opponent has a 100% chance, and I know this is scaling, so that'll be Sig 200, but I don't know what it is at Sig 1. So at Sig 200 has a 100% chance to inflict a personal rupture debuff, and we can't affect that with ability accuracy. Extra ruptures, extra burst damage from the special 1, where a lot of his ruptures come from. So what do we need to beat this guy? Well, his 2 primary annoyances are the evade when you try and intercept him, as well as the unstoppable that comes from his special attacks when he has 200 crowd excitement or more. The easiest way I see to get around this guy is to use slow champions, as these cancel out evades and unstoppables, meaning that there's not much to him anymore. Top options here are Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, Stealth Suit Spider-Man with the Web Foam pre-fight, Spider-Gwen, She-Hulk, and Red Guardian. Our other option is to use a straight evade counter, utilising True Accuracy or True Strike, and we'll deal with the Unstoppable via a different means. Top options here are Ramped Aegon to 150 combo or more, though this might be difficult to use sometimes, unless you're quick about it. This will work great for backdrafts. We also have Kate Bishop. She has Cold Snap as well, so that's a secondary source of reducing that evade chance. Mole Man, whilst he's not in his frenzy mode. Odin, after the special 1. Corvus Glaive, if you bring the synergy with Proxima Midnight. And finally, Venom. Spider-Punk is a Spider-Verse character, so he won't be able to evade Venom for the entire fight, not just the last 18%, where his True Strike comes into effect. How do we deal with that unstoppable? Well, he only triggers it when his crowd is above 200, and knocking him down will reduce his crowd by 15. We have to be careful though, as we're not quite sure yet until we see him how easy it will be to keep that crowd down, but any champion that can really spam their special attacks will have a much better chance against him. So, there we have it. Everything you need to know to defeat the latest science champion in MCOC, Spiderpunk. Coming tomorrow, we'll have exactly the same, but for Prowler, with his pre-release breakdown as well. And then on Thursday, we'll have the 643 follow-up video. And on Friday, hopefully, we should have a full Masteries guide coming out as well. If you have any questions, please do leave them down below, as well as perhaps joining the Discord server, where you can ask questions, make suggestions for future video topics, and as long as I'm awake, I do my best to be there as much as possible. If this video has helped you at all, please do all the YouTube stuff, and as always, thank you, and I will see you next time.